I'd almost forgotten to do. I'm going to try to do it now quickly. Oh, wow, we have somebody here instantly within like just a few seconds. Amazing. Um, I would say good morning, but it might not be morning there, so I would just say welcome. I'm going to try this without my hat on because it's in the wash with a bunch of laundry. And luckily enough that I don't think it'll get damaged. And it's not cardboard, the brim. It's, and then they left. At least it looks like it. It's, oh, right, let me do this here. It is, give me that, but I would have to reload. It is plastic, I think. What was the other thing I was going to do? Oh, I did just want to quickly check the machine just to hear if it's still running, but I think it probably is. If it isn't, I have time. Might not be. In which case, that was really quick. I started it at about 8:15, 8:20. What time is it now? Can't be 9 o'clock yet. 8:50. That I almost wonder. I hate to leave right away, but I almost wonder if the thing's malfunctioning, or is it just in between modes? Sorry for not being on screen right at the start there, but no, I didn't. I thought it took at least a little about an hour, a little over an hour. The washing machine. But yeah, I can get it in after this. I still got time. I got a fairly social day today, but this topic was suggested to me, and I thought it's a good one. So here I am to do it. You already know it. You already know it. So, yeah. And sunshine, yes. And we have a blue sky today with the sun out. People can be for sure. Flowers, yep. Well, okay, it's not. Um, and you know what? I am actually going to, whether that's who comes in and chats or not, is our secret. I would say, but I am actually going to try and invite. So much for being off. I mean, we talked, I think, briefly in the morning, but a new friend of mine who I think if we can go there, that would be helpful, but who I feel is probably struggling to see beauty in the world. I'm going to put on my least favorite color in this hat just because I feel almost naked without it. I feel kind of chilly too, actually, without it. I want to make sure that he sees those two and doesn't just look at the very bottom one, so I'm just going to send him a new message. I mean, yeah, he might get notified, but some people get notifications about all kinds of things. But there are some people that you feel, need to be reminded, need to be thinking of the positive and beautiful things in the world more often because it feels like a struggle for them, for whatever reason, or they just simply aren't doing it. And you can add to either the ones mentioned by Study, Relax, Meditate, right? You can add to what they've said or add your own things. Where was I at? Flowers, yeah. And even though it is autumn now, even though it is autumn now. And I seem to remember we had a late start to spring here, and um, the season that we're in now is usually short. But I mean, there like just last week, I think it was still feeling like summer. Um, we have and we aren't the only ones, but we have a big vine thing growing on something. It's got lots of leaves and some conifers on it. And chapstick if you're curious, chapstick if you're not. And Friday, I picked them for a nature thing I did with a group. I don't do these things often, but I recommend it. You know, if you live in good climate, you know, it's an opportunity to socialize. You know, if you can find the things to go to, and most likely they'd be free too. You know, and if you can easily get to them. Truth be told, actually, even though it wasn't far from where we initially started out, I probably wouldn't have went there if it was just me. Well, one, because it would be less enjoyable by myself, like with podcasting, and two, because it was kind of in what is our city's downtown, and I hardly ever don't really need to go there very often. It isn't all that close to where I live, and I don't know. I'm not that drawn to go there. But this was a community. No, it's not hot anymore. That's okay. This was a community garden, and there was a few of us there. It was really weird because, like, I'm not in high school, and in fact, most of the ones that were with our group, and it's not a group I go to often. I go to things at that center, thanks Ray, but they were all older than me. Actually, I think it was 5 or 6 older women, and then uh, 2 younger staff people and 2 staff people, probably a little bit younger than my mother, probably so maybe mid 40s, early 50s. And the one had said, but I was already this far, looking forward to it, you know, this and that. One of them had said there's going to be a couple high school groups meeting us. And it was the weirdest thing. And, you know, so here I am thinking, okay, it's going to be a bunch of loud. I mean, I don't hate teenagers, but in groups, you know, I guess I didn't wasn't remembering uh, strongly that it was going to be like a leaded tour, which I really must look into doing these kind of tours of various ways. Um, but uh, um, anyway, basically, it so said they're going to meet us there. But like, I think I found out about this while we were on the bus that they rented for it, the party bus. Just kidding, party bus. Just kidding. Um, but and we got there, and we were about 10 or 15 minutes into the thing, into the tour, but we were still near the entrance of the really nice community garden downtown. Now, the ironic thing was, it was actually on the same street. I don't know if I really podcasted about it afterwards. I know I was a little bit worried about how the weather was going to be that day, but it was just fine. I don't know if we got any rain, to be honest. I can't remember. I thought it was a 60% chance of rain, but maybe it was a 30. Anyway, actually, I don't know if my head that much from here. I mean, it's on, and I notice I'm wearing it, but anywho, basically, sorry, the dog is very noisily drinking water. And I don't think I have to watch my time too closely. I mean, even if I rolled, I don't think I will, but even if I rolled for 3 hours, that's 9:57, 10:57, 11:57, and then right after that, I'd have just enough, pretty much just enough time to do the other stuff I got to do before I leave. And some of it's kind of already at the door waiting for when I go out. Kate, you've had a thingy to chew, and your ball is not still here anymore, so I don't know where it is. So go lay down, Kate, honey. Um, Anywho, so but yeah, so like so it was on the same street that a former friend of mine had lived on, And I only knew that actually because we almost came up the street the one way for whatever reason, but we came around and up the other side of it, and I recognized a couple of businesses that were at the end of the street. Um, and I do kind of remember there being a park there, but this really wasn't a park. I mean, I never looked at it that closely. It was maybe about 5 or 10 minutes down the street from where he lived. Uh, so maybe, and it's been so many years, maybe it's true. All I remembered was benches and couple tables or whatever. But anywho, so I thought, okay, there's going to be a whole bunch of hyped up teens, blah blah, you know. And when I was young as I used to be, I haven't been in school for a while. I don't go in. Honestly, big bunches of hyped up people of any age, unless I'm also quite hyped up and understand the hype. No, just kidding. But it's like, woohoo, plant medicine, yeah. I don't know. No, because that's kind of one of the things we were talking about. But anywho, basically, and I mostly recommend it. That thing is not a plant, I don't believe. But anywho, yeah, see how I feel about it. But so this one lady came with two 19, 20-year-olds, I would say, and they seem to be a couple. It's not just that they seem to know each other, but the two late teenagers, late. One was coming from outside the city, though, I think, and it was kind of early. Anyway, they seemed to be a little touchy-feely with each other. And then the other one showed up. Another lady showed up with, I think, three, and two of them seemed to be dating, too. And so, I mean, it wasn't like a full high school class. What I'm thinking is it may have been, they didn't seem to have special needs, but you can't always tell, right? And I remember when I was in school, there was a class called behavioral education. Ironic that there was a really bad, perhaps just careless driving, I'm not sure, accident in our area recently. In fact, somebody posted a video of it after the post had been there for a little while, and I sort of wanted to watch it. I saw it this morning, and but I felt a little bit triggered to possibly watch it for some pretty valid reasons. But yeah, so basically, why am I saying that? I don't know. There was a reason that all fitted together, but I can't remember now that I had a bit of a brain lapse. Um, hmm. And I feel like if I don't keep talking, the dog might continue barking. Sometimes it doesn't matter either way, but at the moment, and I am trying to keep the momentum going for those that see this afterwards and that too. Accidents, right? Not that those are beautiful. That's the happy accidents. But I can't remember now. I'll have to watch us back later and put it in the comments. Hopefully, I'll remember then. Speaking of comments, what else did they say for us? Any of us to add on to the ones that a commenter has said, or just in general? And welcome, by the way. Curious if you've ever been to the chat. Any of that? Let's look at somebody. Oh, that reminds me. Just quickly. I think I saw something. I don't know what that is. Something went wrong, and there's a monkey there. Is it? Oh, hush. Sorry, just a moment. I don't think anybody's here, although Hydro tried to get a reading from us the other day. A mediumship reading, just kidding. But they used to be able to do it from the outside. And just do something. Noise in the lane. And I don't want to put our dog upstairs because I'm going to be out for a few hours later. So kind of don't want to I don't know yet. Anyway, I'm just going to bring this here for a moment, or maybe entirely. It's a laptop. And I don't know. Sonny, please stop. Thank you. Recent. Okay. I'm just looking at something quickly here for a moment here. I will try not to be distracted for super long. That's not true. What is going on here? But yeah, it's funny that the monkey thing was there when the Jared's monkey were coming. Anyway, but yeah, so it worked out. It worked out great, and um, the other thing is I don't really. This is like I say, not my usual hat, and I don't really like it this close up. Have I seen that before? I don't know, but they seem to have two different names. Anyway, but just just for a moment, I will. Uh, it's not a color I wear. I guess it's a shade of this color, but I prefer this shade. And like I say, it's just not the one I'm used to. The fit is pretty similar, but anyway. But yeah, so anyway, that's why I was mentioning it though, because so I picked some stuff off of the vine on the Friday, and there is still both leaves and the other stuff growing on the vine. Uh, the other day when I looked was Tuesday, but from Friday to Tuesday, and a couple of those days I think were kind of warm. Um, it's mostly just the branches now. It's quite empty. Which reminds me, I'll just put this here, and next time I get up, I'll charge that device. But I might bring this. I'm not sure. I can use the other one occasionally. Otherwise, read just to find a media. Or he could have to so I can use the laptop after he does his other two things. But there is a couple of things that this phone can do that my even older phone. I'd rather have this one with me, or both. But anywho, sorry to be distracted from your comment there. But rainbows, yes. Dogs, yes. I was standing here looking at us right now, and it's been a little bit hyper, but not too bad. But we love him and he's cute and everything, but sometimes he's confusing and annoying. And we know he's smart too. Horses, yeah, you can see you're quite into horses. I hope I do. Pets in general. Music, a lot of it is. I just heard the radio say, and I did. I had to go upstairs briefly, and then when it came down, that particular segment was finishing. But I just heard the radio say that most of us have an ear for, how did he put it? Music and um, um, knowing what sounds good or something like that. But some people do not have a musical ear. So, not really, but it's facing this way. But yeah, it's a little different, but it works. Again, chapstick if you're curious, chapstick if you're not. All good, really enjoying listening. Okay, glad to hear it. But since you said that it looks like you may have had to leave, maybe you'll be back. Maybe you had to charge your phone or something came up. But I do appreciate the comments. Some sounds. Other people can see that with this comment when they tune in and maybe they will say their favorite sounds. Could always talk about least favorite sounds, but then we'll be hearing them in a mind's ear all day. Heard of mind's eye. I don't think I've ever heard of mind's ear actually. So maybe I just made it up. Friendship usually. Some fams. I believe you're saying some families. I feel awkward addressing this when they're not currently here, but whatever. And yes, some would be the key word. Why do I fit Tinder just into my right on here? People communicating well with each other, that's also very important and a great special thing. Um, Even though it's it didn't say that they were. Other than that, and actually, to be quite honest, a lot of those things would have been things that I would have listed too. um, I was just on my social media page, but then I come back to, but then it accidentally loaded back on the what do you call it, newsfeed, and I'm seeing this, and I don't know if I'd call this beautiful. First of all, it almost looks like a guitar, funny looking, maybe drums or something in the corner, or some sort of stand. And I mean, these fingers are too long. The dress is way too long to be practical, and it sort of looks like a garbage bag. But I don't know. I guess some people might find it pretty. This is ever so slightly more my kind of style. That's interesting. A skull on the head. Well, the things I don't want to say about season, but I really, I always try and be on a little less around the time here, but it doesn't always happen. Huh. I'd love for there to be a bit of a conversation, a bit more of a conversation, if we can. But yeah, I can't believe how fast the machine ran. The washing machine. And I had some bedding and a couple shirts in there. I didn't have the blankets in. That's its own load, I feel like. But yeah, no, as long as I can get that in by 11, I can shower while it's in the dryer. Uh, we shall be good to go. This is an old note. You probably, although we could use the other side, I guess, but it kind of leaked through, so you probably doesn't even have those ones anymore. Put this here. Put this here. Yeah, like that was quite a good list that one viewer had given. It's not that there aren't other beautiful things in the world, but it's early in the morning, and I'm sort of struggling to think of them. Oh, she said nothing on that, actually. How odd. But I mean, I was there and I needed the ride back, and it was so many years ago that he lived there, and I was pretty sure he'd moved. So, and I wasn't really in contact with him anymore, kind of by choice. Unfortunately, he'd been quite a good friend, and you hate to do that with good friends, but sometimes you gotta. Like for him, he was just drinking too much, and he was on meds and having issues with his mental health, and he was instigating stuff but not taking the blame. So, I mean, you don't need that, right? I just plugged in just to kind of keep the momentum rolling, although part of me feels like I'm talking to nobody here. And I have been talking for 25 minutes. So, I mean, anybody that sees this afterwards can see that there's content. So maybe I'll just find the next thing that I'm going to mention in this topic. I just sent a message and got some got some suggestions. Put that in. It's over there. What if I don't? As long as I have this, it's good. I mean, honestly, that's not. I did try to ask what she was doing. I just she'll think of something because she'll need to. I don't have a lot to say on this one particular one though, but I will say traveling is one that a lot of people are probably going to think of. Sorry, sorry about that. Just itchy nose. But yeah, traveling is something that a lot of people do way more than me. But you know what? If you can only travel virtually or summer festivals or whatever, enjoy that too. Like you do what you can and to enjoy that loveliness. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, where is everybody? Humbug. I'm pretty sure it would tell me if there was a new message there. And there wasn't, which is why it didn't tell me there was. I tried to delete this message the other day, but it's still showing there. That time it did though. And yeah, I mean, she's even cool, but there was something that was that. And then also something that, which I don't find beautiful. He was. So hopefully if I don't entirely. Um he's on and it would be really beautiful to reconnect with this person that I used to go to high school with. Sorry about the noisy dog. Um I was never that close with her, and actually, he might follow the channel now. I'll just say that post about, you know, how he mentioned his parents in connection to his birthday was a little bit too vivid. We already know how it happens. You don't need to spell it out. It sounded a little bit awkward. And I don't know if there's anything else. But otherwise, great. Um, Going back here for a moment, we got also personal achievements and milestones. Um, I know that some of us maybe feel like we don't have a lot of that in our life right now, and the person episode out. Sorry if I triggered you. If you stayed long enough, you'd know that we could and spoke about it. You'd know that we can try and work through the triggers together because that's what I'm about. Let's get try something here. Ooh, blurry. Is it better? Yeah, no, didn't really bounce it down much, but now they're going to send something which will bounce it up. I mean, Either way, that's kind of good for me to talk about too. And like I say, I think it's a good topic, and it's a good reminder to all of us that when we need it, sometimes, even if we don't think we do, we sometimes do. Um, Certain hobbies. This note says, and I don't have a lot of messages I'm receiving right now, so feel free to join the chat. This says hobbies like art, music, or sports. I mean, the art and the music thing kind of already covered music. We didn't really cover art, and music can be an art. But and it's interesting, the sports one. We did kind of cover relationships, meaningful relationships. Books I never would have thought of, but I don't read a lot of books these days. I should get. I really keep. Had very strong reminders of my writing project recently, but no further ideas. But I really should um, do my writing projects. It's helping pass the time this morning. Even if it's taking it, I'll do other stuff that might be a little less of that after this. And like I say, as long as I 12 at the latest, I've got that stuff in, then it'll be good. Yo. But yeah, movies and TV shows, that's kind of an interesting one. Quotes, that's kind of a neat one. Ooh, moments of self discovery. Sounds like Penny and Cheryl said that one. I thought of saying sunrises and sunsets, nature scene, and then they mentioned works of art again. The unique personal stories that people share, everyone experiences and perspectives are somewhat different. Person was there for a few seconds. I was reading the script still, and that makes conversations interesting and valuable. If only they'd heard that. May not have made any difference, but a blurry image suggests an intimate moment. Really, don't know why the dog's so worked up. He's hearing stuff outside, I guess. Sensory joys is how they define that mention. Yeah, some sounds indicate finding pleasure in auditory experiences, valuing meaningful communications. Finding comfort, I would say, finding answers to your struggles. It's like, oh, that feels really good. You could possibly even say beautiful. Of course, intimacy, it's another one. The other day, I told a friend I wasn't going to be rolling long. I had already rolled a long time, and I think I rolled almost an hour more. We actually were right enjoying chatting. So like I said, I guess I don't feel too bad because today, I mean, there's always online some days more than others, but today I do have a. I mean, I might mostly listen. I mean, I like to try and contribute. I mean, not that there's no value in just being there and listening and being there, but I figure, for a fuller experience, contributing a little bit to a group discussion, you know, um, like a support group kind of discussion, is a good thing. And it's going to be the first time I'm going to this one, but I've been to a couple things, some things at this place before, so I may or may not be familiar with some of the people. And I kind of, oh yeah, mother, that one, I never seen so people. The group was that bad. No, I was kidding. The topic that she was mentioning, I'd never seen. That was really really hard. But then we talked afterwards, and I think she did accept the hug. So maybe I'd offer one quicker this time around. But and then I'm gonna be with my relative that's bringing me there and back. And then there's another day this week still that's going to be quite busy. So because there is a bit of a difference between online and in person. There truly is, and so it's nice to kind of have that balance. So yeah, I mean, and I know I'd get into some sort of conversation whether there's much happening here or not, and there was a little bit of comments, like I say, but like I say, to have the in person as well is quite nice. With not having a lot of money and not driving at the moment where I live, not having a lot of close connections, it's a bit harder, but we may do, right? So just sending something to my ride. Have a great day. Sorry I had to leave, but I was abrupt. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. But thanks for that, and to you as well. And just so happened, uh, just after they left, somebody else tunes in. So feel free to join the conversation if you doubt they left. Even more abruptly. Hope it wasn't my new hat. It's actually not that new, but different for me, that's for sure. How do I? So the heat must not be coming on because you had the door open briefly this morning, and it was at the high 60s, a certain number, and I put it at like 72 just for briefly, and it doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't feel like it's on because it kind of does. It doesn't feel like it's in the 70s. I'll tell you that much. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna roll. Maybe another half hour. Sometimes that can be worth it. Rolling for almost an hour, and then the activity really starts to. Well, I shouldn't say. By my standards. By some people's, they might say, "Oh, that's still not much," but by mine, any is better than none. You know what I mean? Any great conversation and likes and stuff is better than Yeah, not having. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there really is something to people that consistently go online at a certain time. Their following comes to expect it, and they're there often. In other words, a little less sporadic, but and my schedule would probably allow me to do so. It would allow me to do a lot of things, really, but I just I just I don't know. I'm a bit more, and I always mean to mention this for any newcomers, preferably in writing, so that people can see it. And I'm not the to say it, but okay, I so before they tune in, because you know it may or may not be their style or what they're able to watch at this point in time. But um, I was just going to say that um, yeah, I have no filter, and so yeah. Um, I was just typing something I want to watch later, although that's not it. 42, and I probably have seen all of them. Oh, Heaven Bound goes this one too. I thought they were just the UK. Um, which one am I looking for again? Mm, there it is. Well, I kind of want to do my own thing for a little bit, then finish a chore and shower and get on with it. you know, I want to be patient. I want to see if there, can be still some interesting conversation to come in this. But and this is another reason is that the truth is that for whatever reason, I wonder what that it just had a moment ago. Oh, it isn't there. For whatever reason, um, the conversations on my video mostly when they happen seem to be um oh right, that's what I was saying. Because you know and it's not like some of those people that might do it, by the way, they can only, or most often only, do it. That's the best time for them to do it. For the most part, I have a lot of times at work for being able to podcast. So if I have an idea and the energy, I'll do so. But what I want to watch, there's a couple shows I want to watch on YouTube, and it would be copyrighted material. So, but yeah, no, largely the conversations happen in the live chat, which doesn't always show afterwards for some reason. But every now and then, one of my videos gets comments after it's posted. Certainly gets some views, and it must be people that again judge too quickly or get distracted or whatever. But yeah, it's for some reason that's the way it happens. But I'm just happy when the chat happens. You know what I mean? But and every now and then there are some comments. So I'm starting to feel like that's what I'm going to hope for this one at this point, and that I'm going to wrap up. 10:32, 11:32. Then I swap that in. 11:45. 12:15. 12:30. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and then I'm kind of feeling like I might just rather let more conversation come in afterwards. I know this will be different time zones, so it's not that everybody's at work, whatever. Well, they might be at the whatever, but But if there's anything you'd like to add to the ones that are already mentioned, or other, um, essentially, I guess in the title I didn't finish it because I ran out of room, and the person just left. So or at least it looks like it. But I did in my top comment. Just in case the chat doesn't show afterwards. Well, I mentioned those in the actual one though. But yeah, you know, especially when I don't, when I've ran out of things to say and nobody else is currently contributing anything, and I have some other things I'd like to do, it makes sense to not belabor and keep this going. It doesn't have to be an hour, but like I say, I've had a few times where, I mean, sometimes it's that I bring someone in that I'm familiar with, and it's intentional. But sometimes I'm sure there's been occasional times where it's been somebody random that I wasn't already familiar with, and I'm rolling almost an hour, and I'm starting to feel really kind of unmotivated, and like I say, a lack of things to say, even if I don't have other things that I'd like to do. But like this movie's going at a good pace. It might actually kind of feel a bit slow, but yeah, and that's the thing. When the chat's kind of slowed down or slow, it's kind of like it's not especially since I can't have the radio playing while I'm doing this. It's not a huge story to be going on about it, but not a huge motivator or whatever to keep it rolling. So I think at this point, although I do know that I have a couple new subscribers, but I think at this point I am going to wrap her up. I think named it since I put my hand over it. Put a bow on it. Part of me thinks, what's waiting another 10 to 12 minutes to make it more like, but then I think, so I don't know. No, I think I'm going to wrap her up. No, being in chat, being in conversations, it does bring energy to the channel. So all that can help it, and I need to do more of that. So, and I'm one of the things I'm thinking of going to watch. It's just interesting to see how other people live their lives too. There can even be beauty in that, in a lot of cases. But it's something that I've seen many, many times. But I never had a particular thought that I did last night. I was reminded of one of the episodes of the show, and I was watching it, and then I think I was trying to fall asleep because it was just before bed that I was watching it a different episode, and yeah, I had this thought that I hadn't had before, and I thinking I might go put it under the video, but yeah, but if there's anything that you'd like to contribute to the chat, based on okay, you left, so okay, I'm wrapping her up.